Today's read aloud in our Westward Expansion reading series is called Mr. Fulton's Journey. And today you're going to hear the story of an inventor named Robert Fulton who created something that changed the way that Westward Expansion happened. We're going to hear about a journey that he took with his new invention. So we're going to jump right in, and first we'll start off by taking a look at some new vocabulary words that you'll see in this story. So let's check the camera's in the right spot. Almost. All right, so our first word today is design. Design means to create the plans for. You can probably think why that would be an important word for an inventor. Inventor, a person who invents or creates a new product. Journey, an act of traveling from one place to another. Steamboats, steam-powered boats. And our final new word is voyage, and a voyage is a journey. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into our story, Mr. Fulton's Journey. And again, before we start, I'm going to double check that our pictures can see. Awesome. All right, so Mr. Fulton's Journey. As she stepped from the dock onto the boat, the lady in the pink dress held a matching pink parasol or umbrella above her head. It was a sunny August day in 1807 in New York City, and she wanted to protect her delicate skin from the sunlight. She smiled at one of the boat's owners. "Mr. Fulton," she said, "I hope your boat will do everything you have built her to do." The lady's husband shook Mr. Fulton's hand and said, "It will be a great day if you succeed, Fulton, a great day indeed." Then the couple walked forward to join the other ladies and gentlemen already on board. The man whom they had greeted, Robert Fulton, wore a confident smile, but inside he was terribly nervous. He thought to himself, "If all goes well today, I will be rich, and people all over the world will know my name. If I fail, I will lose a great deal of money and be laughed at as a dreamer and a fool. That must not happen." Fulton felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to find his business partner, Robert Livingston, standing at his side. Robert Livingston was a wealthy, important man. He had worked for the government both in the United States and in Europe. Many years ago, in 1801, while Fulton was in Europe doing business, he met Livingston at a restaurant in Paris. Fulton told Livingston, "What I am working on right now will forever change the way people travel and the way in which everyone does business." Livingston's eyes lit up with interest. "Tell me more, Fulton," he said. "Well, as you know, an Englishman has invented what he calls a steam engine. Basically, you light a coal or wood fire inside of a furnace to heat a boiler of water. When the fire gets very hot, the water is also heated and steam comes off it. The steam is fed to an engine and provides energy to power the engine." "Yes, I have heard of this steam engine," Livingston replied. "Please continue." "I'm sure you have also heard of steamboats." "Actually, I have," said Livingston. Fulton continued. "Well, Livingston, I plan on building one. But my steamboat will be much better than the ones already made. I shall use steam power to turn paddles on the back of the boat. With steam turning the paddles, the boat will move more quickly than by using human muscle or wind in a sail." "Extraordinary," said Livingston. That is not all, Fulton continued. My boat will be flat on the bottom, not curved. This will allow us to carry more people and products on each voyage. Picture a whole fleet of such boats. Why, the owners would become richer than even you can imagine. Livingston noticed that Fulton had used the word us, as if he were already sure that Livingston would join him in this project. Livingston didn't mind. He agreed to help fund the plan, and the two friends became partners. Livingston knew that Fulton was not the only inventor working to design a steamboat, but the two men thought Fulton's design was far better than any other. After many years of countless improvements to the boat's design, the day for the steamboat's first voyage had finally arrived. Now standing on deck, Livingston said, "Those were our last guests coming aboard, Fulton. We can begin our journey whenever you are ready." Fulton turned to his boat's captain, who told him, "The engine is all fired up, sir. I await your orders." "Then let us begin," Fulton answered. The captain called to several sailors. "Cast off bow and stern lines." The sailors untied the thick ropes holding the boat to the dock. Then the captain turned to the pilot, whose job it was to steer the boat, and told him, "Take us to Albany." As the guests on board and the spectators on the dock began to cheer, steam began to pour from the boat's smokestack. The steamboat was on its way. The plan was to travel along the Hudson River from New York City to the state capital of Albany, stopping briefly at Livingston's home in Clermont, New York, which explains the name of Fulton's steamboat, North River Steamboat of Clermont. So you can see here they started down in New York City, and their steamboat was going to travel the Hudson River up to where Robert Livingston lived in Clermont. And after a break there, they were going to keep going up to the state capital, which you can see by this red star, Albany. Not only did the steamboat have to make the trip safely in order to show that steam travel would work, the boat also had to move faster than other types of boats, or no one would see any reason to switch to steam. As the viewers on the dock watched the steamboat paddle away, some people said, "I don't see how they will ever do it." Others said, "Let's wait and see. After all, this fellow Fulton convinced Robert Livingston, a man who controls much of the river travel in New York, that his plan would work." Right now you might be thinking, I wonder if this trip will be a success. Robert Fulton, Then let us begin, Fulton answered. The captain called, I'm rereading things, I'm sorry guys. So here we are. I lost my place, but I got it back. Okay. The believers were right. About 2 days later, a second crowd stood cheering on the dock in Albany as Fulton's steamboat puffed into view. The steamboat had taken less than 2 days for a voyage that usually took sailing ships 4 days. So they cut the traveling time in half from 4 days to 2 days. "Congratulations, Mr. Fulton," said the lady in the pink dress as she and her husband stepped off the boat. "Many didn't believe it could be done. You proved them wrong." Shaking Fulton's hand, Livingston said, "Congratulations, Fulton. New York will never be the same." "No, Livingston," Fulton replied, "the world will never be the same." Robert Fulton was right. Over the next few years, the two partners set a whole fleet of steamboats afloat on the Hudson River and the Mississippi River. So remember, the Hudson River is this one up here in New York, and the Mississippi River is that big, important river that runs all the way down the center of our country. People realized that steamboats were faster, much cheaper, and much more reliable than other types of transportation. There was only one problem. Steamboats needed rivers to travel on, and there were no rivers between some of the biggest cities. So people still couldn't use steamboats to go everywhere they wanted. So that is the story about the invention of the steamboat, and kind of left me wondering there at the end, how are they going to start connecting some of those bigger cities that don't have rivers between them? So tomorrow's story is going to help us to answer that question. So now you can go ahead and take what you learned from today's story and go answer your questions.